Hello there, everyone. My name is Crazy Caleb, and welcome to Quadruple Simpleton. When it wasn't simple enough to have just a quadruple simpleton, we had to add a simpleton't because, of course, there is the simpleton and the simpleton't. Let's make them both. So, what we have here is we have a series of 4 different buttons that reference the quadruple simpleton, and 4 buttons will say push it. It will be displayed on the modules, and then hovering over these is where you will know that you're working with quadruple simpleton. If we hover over it, as you can see, there is the possibility of there being different types of text changing, as you can see. And in this case, what's going to happen here is that there's going to be 3 buttons that will have only 1 button changing, and that 1 button will have the other 3 changing. So in this case, we happen to see this is the one that is changing is up in the top left. That's the only one that is changing, and that's going to be the same thing for all 3 of these. And then if we highlight the top left, we see all 3 of the other buttons changing. That's the way that we're going to be able to determine we're looking at quadruple simpleton. So let's take a look and let's see what we need to do, because this module itself is a lot simpler than getting the normal simpleton read. That's for sure. So there is going to be one of these buttons is a true button, which in this case is going to be represented by the fact that the other 3 buttons are changing, and the other 3 buttons are fake buttons. And what our goal is to determine a series of different values using this table below. So let's figure this out. So highlighting the fake buttons will change the text on the true button, and which will alternate between the 2 texts at every timer tick. Highlighting the true button will change the text on all fake buttons, which will also alternate between two texts at every timer tick. So one thing that's very important to note down, and it doesn't specifically mention this in the manual, is every time you look at a fake button, it will present 2 different texts. In this case, for the top right one, because this is a fake button, it will give hush me and bush me. However, this is not going to be the same for all 3 buttons. As we can see, it says hush he and hush me. And as you can see, we have a series of different button labels that we're going to be looking at. Every single one is going to be different. Well, that happens to be perfectly coincidental with the bottom left, because they're both the exact same thing, but we're going to ignore that. And it's just a way to make sure that, hey, you're not looking at simply just 2 labels for 1 button. You're looking at 6 different labels, 2 for each individual button. So what exactly is our goal with this module here? So, the even and odd values of a fake button are determined by the following. And what we're going to do is we're going to determine each of these individual values, and we're going to press them in the order, in ascending order, essentially. So let's take a look and see how we can get those values. So we're going to take the text shown on the true button while highlighting this fake button on an even timer digit. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight one of the fake buttons, and we're going to get the value. We're going to get the when the display of the last digit for the true button is on an even second. And in this case, it's going to be bush me. Now, bush me is what we're going to be using as the column in the table below. So we're going to use bush me for the column. And we're going to do the exact same thing, but in this case, we're going to take the text shown on this fake button while highlighting the true button on an even timer digit. So we have, when it comes to 6, we have bush me on this one, on the top right. So we're going to do 23, and now, we don't care about you guys. We're going to mark this with a dash and a dash. We know that this first value is going to be 23. Each of these values is essentially going to, each of these buttons is going to have 2 different values associated with it. So in this case, our first value for the even timer seconds digit is going to be 23. So the way that you want to do this is essentially what you want to do is you want to focus on each individual button. In this case, we're going to take a look at the true button, one of the fake buttons, on a specific timer digit, in this case being even or odd, and we're going to take a look at the true button, in this case being even or odd. Make sure that whenever you look at it, they are both the same parity. So in this case, you're going to be looking at one label at an even second digit, you're going to be looking at the other label on an even second digit, and odd, and vice versa. So it's very important that you do not mix and match these guys. It's very easy to do so. Just make sure that you understand that. And now, the intersection of this column and row represents this button's even value, and finding the odd values uses the same process, except while highlighting the buttons on an odd timer digit. It's exactly the same thing. But just make sure that you are able to split up the even timer digit and the odd timer digit, and it's very important that you make sure you read the labels at the correct time. So let's continue on, and let's see what our final value for the top right button is. So we get the odd second digit, which is going to be representing hush me. Now hush me, remember, is going to be representing the column. So hush me in this case because we're highlighting a fake button, which is going to be changing the text of the true button. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing for the top left. What does top right on an odd second digit say when we're highlighting the top left? it's going to be a push me. Push me is going to be right here. And our second value for this one is going to be a 7. So let's determine the rest of these buttons here. And this is all we're essentially going to be doing here. So let's go to bottom right, for example. Let's go to the even, hush he. Hush he is going to be our column here. And then we're going to take a look at the top left. Even is going to be hush me. Hush me right here. And that's going to be 47 for this first one. Now let's take a look at what it's odd. That's going to be hush me. And finally, for the top left one, is going to be bush it for odd. Is going to be 46. Okay. And then finally, for the bottom left, let's see what we have here. We have, for even, it's going to be hush he. And for the top left, we have, on even, is going to be bush me. And this is going to be 45. And then finally, for the on secondage, we have hush me. And then finally, we have top left odd is going to be pushy. It's pushy. Pushy is going to be 1. Now, excuse me for just 1 second. I'll be right back. Apologies for that. Had to let my dog in. So now that we've determined all of our values here, what we have to do now is take a look at this. The fake buttons must be pressed twice each, in the order of both their even and odd values in ascending order. Press the true button to submit your answer, and pressing the true button without pressing the fake buttons in the correct order will incur a strike, but the solution itself will not change. So now, essentially, all we're simply going to do is we're going to order these guys in ascending order. So all we're simply going to do is we're going to do a 1, 7, 23, then 45, 46, and 47. And this is all we're going to do. So 1 represents the bottom left, 7 represents top right, 23 represents top right. We've already pressed twice for top right, so we don't have to worry about that button anymore. Then 45 for bottom left, and then what we're going to do is we're going to press bottom right twice, because 46 and 47. We're going to press top left to submit. Victory! And just like that is a solved module. Hope that makes sense. It's a very simple module, and let's take a look at one final example. But essentially, it's very important to notice that, as you saw here, I did not care about the both even and odd values, simply because all it cares about is you making sure that you get just a series of correct values. All that matters. There is no specific subset that you need to break it into. It's all just going to be one giant set of 6 different numbers that you're going to be working with here. And that's what you're going to do. Yeah, like I said, very simple module. Just make sure that if you're highlighting a fake button and you're looking at the true button, it's your column. And if you're highlighting a true button while looking at a fake, if you're highlighting the true button where you're looking at a fake button, that is going to be your row. Make sure that you remember that. It's very important, but once you know that, it's a very quick module to do. So let's take a look at one final example here. And just make sure, obviously, you know to do it with both even and odd, both evens and then both odds.
There is only one perfect solution,
okay.
But there are clues
And now let's figure out which one's our true button. So we have, in this case, it's going to be the top left again. Okay. So we're going to do a XX for this. Then we have a dash, 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 dash. It's the way I like to do this. Okay. So now let's figure out what we need to do here. So first things first, I guess we'll do the exact same thing. Top right. Okay, even seconds is going to be a bit hard to read here, but we'll manage. Is going to be hush he. Hush he is the column. And then even top right is going to be bush me, I believe. Yep, bush me. And that's going to be 45. Okay. Then odd top right is going to be, odd top left is going to be what? Push me. And then next up is going to be odd for the top right fake button. That's going to be bush it. Yep, 53. Okay. Next up we have the bottom left. Let's take a look. So we've got even is going to be bushy. And, excuse me. Even for the bottom left is going to be hush it, I believe. Yep, hush it. 64. Okay. Next up we have, what was I going to say? We've got odd. So odd top left is going to be hush it. And then odd bottom left is going to be bush it. Maybe 43. And then finally for the bottom right, even is going to be hush me. And then even bottom right is going to be push me. 7. odd bottom right is going to be pushy, I believe. Yep, pushy. And then odd bottom right again is going to be push it, 54. Okay, so now we have 7, we have 43, 45, 53, 54, and then 64. And that's all we're simply going to do. So it's going to be bottom right, bottom left, top right, bottom right, and finally to close it off, bottom left. Hit submit.
Victory!
And just like that is a solved module. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.